Utah Jazz against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, let's just get into this. The Utah Jazz lose by a large margin to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but the score is a little bit deceiving. It's not like the Jazz were blown out end to end. Now, they were blown out, they got killed. It's fine, but the Jazz had some things in the first half that showed how this team in the future can be very good. And one of those things is just offensively. And they did get a little hot. They got some pretty hot shooting from multiple places. Probably the biggest, hottest shooter, whatever you want to call it, was I'm tired tonight, by the way. It's late. These 8 o'clock, 8:30 start times, guys, are late. And when you got to do the recap and then the video, it's late. But anyways, Kevin Love hit 3 threes in a row at one point. The whole team was knocking them down. And then kind of by halftime, the Thunder had whittled that lead down. I mean, the Jazz had something like a 16-point lead, give or take, in this first half, and then the Thunder just did Thunder things and turned it around and went on just a crazy run. Let's see. Let me adjust this real quick. Just a little smaller. All right. So, not much to say. I mean, this Thunder team is extremely good, and it's interesting that the Jazz are kind of tied to the Thunder this year again because of that pick. Utah has some decisions to make, although their ranking right now is they're creeping back into this top area. But those 5 wins, I mean, one of the things about this Jazz team is they have 2 wins that they're 5 and they very easily could be 3-12 right now and be right where Brooklyn is. They've had 2 wins that were pretty lucky wins, overtime and so on, that could have gone the other way and didn't. Maybe even 3, really. And so this team, one thing you got to give credit is to Will Hardy and also the players. They've really maximized what they are as a team. You see against a team like this Oklahoma City Thunder that are the best team in the league. They're just so good that at a certain point the wheels just come off. But the Jazz are showing that they are well coached. They play well. They've got a lot to work on. I think the biggest thing for this Jazz team, if you want to emulate what this Thunder team is, it's not offensively. Utah does fine offensively. The issue is the defense. It's just not good enough for them to really contend, and we saw that tonight. They played pretty decent defense in that first half, and then just slowly they just got beat. Let's see here where the Jazz, after tonight, I think it's late enough now that these have probably adjusted. Where they stand. So number 1 offense in the NBA is the Houston Rockets, which is interesting. Offensively, Utah's 21, so could be better. But, last year when they were like bottom 2, bottom 3 offense and last in the league in defense, this is an improvement. They are just playing better offense this year. Defensively, let's see where they end up after tonight. After tonight, they're now 27. Coming back to earth a little bit because they're playing the good teams. They've been playing average to bad teams for most of the season so far, and they've done much better than I expected. Like I said, they had 2 or 3 wins that were kind of toss-ups, and they got lucky in one. Now they are kind of coming back to earth a little bit. 27th in defense, and it's just not good enough. And, when you look at this Jazz roster, I don't really know who. I mean, we've seen some improvement from Key on defense, but I wouldn't say he's anything better than an average defender. Lauri Markkanen is not a good defender. At best is average, at best. And Svi Mikhailiuk got beat multiple times tonight, not the greatest. And then Yusuf Nurkic, he's got size and rebounds, but he's not quick, and he's not protecting the rim at a super elite level. So, and you can kind of see that this game got out of hand with the bench. And I wonder if, I talked about this in the recap a little bit. Utah now sits at 10. They only keep their pick if they're at this 8 or worse. And the way their record looks, they really should be in this range, 4, 5, 6. That's really where they should be. And I'd be surprised if they weren't there by the end of the season. The thing is, for this Utah team, you've got to decide, do you make the decision now or later to ensure that you get into this track where you get that good pick you need? Utah has to keep their pick this year. A game like tonight really shows it. The Jazz are a fun watch. At times they play extremely good offense, and when they're going at full speed, and they can beat the bad teams, and they can, for the most part, compete with the average teams. They are not there yet in terms of champion contention at all. They're not close. They are, if they made some sort of move to add another player, they could potentially be a play-in team, I would think. But I don't really think that's what you want as a team. You look at the Sacramento Kings, that's what they try for every year, and look what it's got them. They've got to just keep kind of building this youth movement until they get that superstar that they build around. And now Ace Bailey might be that, but he's not there yet. I mentioned Svi Mikhailuk. I don't know why Svi Mikhailuk, he did not have the best game tonight. I know he's got this +5, but there are a few times during each game where he does something and it just makes me go, I don't know why he gets such a long leash. I don't understand, but he does. And I don't know. I don't know, but that's how Will Hardy has it going, and it hasn't made a lot of sense to me. But I don't know if at some point that's one of the changes the Jazz made. I made that video yesterday about 2 trade options for the Jazz that I really liked, and I think the Jazz should trade him, both to help the coach make a development decision for the starting lineup, and because, when the Jazz are playing these bad teams, he has played well. Svi Mikhailuk is one of those players that can do well against a bad team. That's why he might provide some nice depth to another team out there that wants just some shooting, and they could use Svi Mikhailuk. So we'll see. Lauri Markkanen came down to earth a little bit in this game. He was 4 for 8 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, which is really nice. 19 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. It's pretty crazy that we're talking about 19 points being a little bit disappointing, but he played well. 9 for 9 from the free throw line. I mean, he got more free throw attempts than field goal attempts and scored 19 points. That's pretty great. Now, defensively, you might see where this -27 is happening. That's probably the issue. But, there might have been a lot of teams tonight who are interested in Lowry watching to see how he does against this Thunder defense, and he did well as the main option. What happens if Lowry goes to another team and he's the second or third option? He becomes really good, and that's what makes him really appealing to some of these other teams. Teams like the one that Zach Lowe always mentions is the Detroit Pistons. Markkanen fits with whoever will get him. I mean, I don't know if he fits quite as well as everyone thinks. To me, he's a power forward, and that's basically what he has to play. But because he can shoot the ball, because he plays off the ball, he is a perfect fit for teams that have a ball dominant star already. And we'll see if there's a team out there that throws the Jazz. Sorry, guys. That throws the Jazz just a crazy offer. We'll see. It may happen, but we'll see. Utah is not going to give him up for nothing. That's why if a team wants him, they're going to have to really, give the Jazz something crazy. That's why I was thinking, if I was wanting anything, if I could pick what I wanted, that's why I did one of the trades I did. I would love that Pelicans pick, because that could be the number 1 pick if it hits. And that's why I was like, well, can you figure out something with Atlanta where you send Lowry to them, you get that Pelicans pick, and they get a for sure star in Markkanen that can play off of Jalen Johnson and all their length and size. And then Utah gets that Pelicans pick, and then I figured a way to kind of move Trae Young, because I doubt Utah wants Trae Young, is move him to Sacramento, and somehow that works. If you traded Lowry for that 1 pick and you got what if the Jazz won 2 top 4 picks in this lottery? That would be incredible. Trading Markkanen would improve that pick for sure, and then also getting a Pelicans pick that could win as well would be massive. So, I don't know. That's why I thought I just, for me, to if you could somehow find a way to get like a top tier draft pick for Markkanen, that's what I would do. Otherwise, it does make sense to just keep him, and then Utah has to probably start thinking about strategic resting and things like that. That was one thing too I was thinking about during the game. I was thinking about what Austin Ainge says. We're not going to, what was it? Like, I got to look at the phrasing, but, he kind of made it pretty clear they weren't going to tank or whatever, mess with lineups or something like that. Well, they might, maybe it is what they mean, just strategic resting. Call it whatever you want, but Utah just needs to keep their pick. And so when Utah, their upcoming schedule here, let's see, NBA.com. Well, let's go to Utah Jazz schedule. Let's just pull this up. Utah has upcoming the Lakers and then the Warriors. Another 8 o'clock late time. Come on. But then the Kings. Utah going up against the Kings. It's time to start thinking about rest, because right now the Kings are sitting at 3-13, and Utah needs to, I don't know. It's just what they've got to do. I know they made some pretty declarative statements at the beginning of the year. You got to do what's best for the team. You really do. And what we are already seeing the exciting things that we're getting from Ace Bailey. And imagine adding an even more top-tier player than that and putting them with Bailey, putting them with Key. If you can keep Markkanen by strategic resting, then why wouldn't you do that? Everyone thinks I hate Lowry or I'm pro-trade Lowry. The big thing is that I want to make sure we get a top-tier player that could be a top 10 player in the NBA. Lowry's at times been flirting with that a little bit, but, a night like tonight, he came down to earth a little bit. And I don't mind having Lauri Markkanen on the team. When he plays like this, he's awesome. But Utah just is at a crossroads, and they've got to decide what they're doing. And they've won a couple games. They should have probably let the other team win somehow, but they're playing to win, which is good. But they've got to figure this out. My whole philosophy with this has been to just make the move so that you can play to win, but the talent's just not there yet or developing, so you lose anyway. That's why the Lauri Markkanen trade is something people talk about. But if you can just strategic rest or trade some guys, that you just ensure that you're going to lose more games than you expected, then do it. But yeah, that's really it in a nutshell. I'm more than happy if Lauri Markkanen's on the team next year and playing next to a player that the Utah Jazz get in the top 3 of the draft. I mean, that's the ideal. Let's say the Jazz win the number 1 overall pick. There was someone that I DM'd and asked about it and told me that Utah would take Darren Peterson number 1. Now, I don't know if that stays that way when the whole season goes by. AJ DeBonsa's looking awesome. But either way, let's say that you somehow win the number 1 pick and Utah picks like Darren Peterson or AJ DeBonsa, then you've got yourself Keontae George, Darren Peterson, Ace Bailey, Lauri Markkanen, and then we'll see if Walker Kessler's on the team at the end of the year. By the way, I should have done a rumor article or video. Dang it. We had that thing happen with Walker Kessler, that thing from Tim McMahon on ESPN with Spence Checketts. The situation's not good, guys. And he said that this is one of those situations where a restricted free agent might end up leaving if another team out there gives him big time money. Like, what if LeBron James does a minimum with the Lakers and it gives them a ton of money? We know the Lakers love Walker Kessler, and they throw like $30 or $40 million Walker Kessler's way to make sure they get him, and Utah loses him for nothing. I think Utah needs to think about making some sort of Walker Kessler trade to just get something out of that pick, because if they lose him for nothing, it's pretty bad, pretty not good. But then what makes this so difficult is Utah is in this tightrope with this number 8 pick. If Utah didn't owe their pick to the Thunder, this wouldn't be as big a deal. You would still want to lose some games to try to improve your position and try to get as many lottery balls as you can, but it wouldn't matter as much. But because they owe their pick to Oklahoma City, that if it's not in the bottom 8, this is a tightrope, and Utah definitely has to consider, how do I get into this range? Because, you sit at 6, it's a little scary. It's still possible to be jumped by 3 teams. It's happened before. But you sit at 5, you have to be jumped by 4 teams. That's just not happening. Utah should 100% try to be in this 4-5 range. All of a sudden, Brooklyn's winning a game or two. If Utah could just kind of get their act together. Those wins are so brutal, guys. They're so brutal. It's tough stuff, but we'll see. But Utah has got to make some decisions. They're good enough to beat all of these teams unless they make some adjustments. I don't have much to say about Yusuf Nurkic that we haven't said. He's basically a lock for 10 rebounds. If you're doing prize picks and they're at like the 8 rebounds, that's an easy over. Easy over. He just is a rebound machine, and he does that 10 rebounds in 22 minutes. The one I really want to talk about is Ace Bailey. Only 20 minutes tonight. I don't know why he gets subbed out here and there for Svi Mikhailuk. I don't get it. I don't understand why he's not playing more. I know we're trying to win, but I feel like the things he does help you win. The offensive rebounds, the putbacks, the defensive effort, the shooting. I mean, he goes 6 for 9 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3. I know he had a couple turnovers, but I tell you what, Svi Mikhailuk had 3, and they were bad. And he got beat on a couple defensive possessions that were just so rough. And Ace Bailey's the rookie. Svi Mikhailuk is the veteran. And I don't know what the difference is and why you wouldn't lean towards your 6'9" rookie that you went through painful tanking for last year to bring on the team, and yet we don't give him more minutes. I don't get it. But yeah, 6 for 9 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3. He's really just showing a baseline of a player that could become something really nice. And if he can just improve that handle, improve defensively, figure out how to do these different things, how to defend correctly, where to stand, where to move, where to go, blah, 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 he can really, really become something special. And this is 15 points where he's not getting priority, right? He's not the focal point of the offense like Lauri Markkanen is. If you could start running things for him, then he gets more points. And we saw that mid-range pull-up that he's got that looks like automatic. He's just a fun player to watch, guys, and I'm so glad the Jazz did what they did last year, or they wouldn't have got him. He would be on the Washington Wizards right now, and instead he's on the Utah Jazz, and we all can just be really happy about that because Bailey has a chance to be really special. It's going to take him time. He's still a project, but that's what's so exciting about this is a player that's like a project that needs development is putting up 15 points, 3 steals, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. I mean, that's the project, right? What happens when he refines his game, when he gets his handle better, when he's getting to the free throw line 3 to 4 times a game at least? That's where he's going to become something really special. And then when you look at these stats, he's up to 9, 3, and 1. I mean, this is pretty good stuff considering how he has not had a ton of minutes to start this year. He's averaging from 3 now, it's up to 33%. This has gone up from a rough start. It's now all the way up here, 44 from the field, 33 from 3. And he did these are against the Oklahoma City Thunder, the number 1 defense in the NBA. That's the other thing you got to consider. So, got to be excited about Ace Bailey. What he's doing is exciting. It's not catching too many headlines because he's not like the lead ball handler. He's not like Con Knippel, who, by the way, is playing great in Charlotte. But Knippel has the ball in his hands a good amount and also gets a lot of offense running through him, where Ace Bailey does not. Ace Bailey is, the Utah Jazz philosophy right now, I guess, is just like run things through Markkanen, and they've evolved a little bit. It's going through Keontae George as well, which is exciting to see. But it's running through those guys first, and then Ace Bailey, playing off the ball just kind of as the outlet. And he's still putting up 15 points. It's crazy. It's really impressive stuff. Keontae George just continues to play at an impressive level. This is year 3. I can't remember if it's year 3. I'm pretty sure it's year 3. And let's see, 20 points, 8 assists, and he's just getting better with his efficiency. He's just playing smart basketball. He's making the right reads. He makes just impressive passes every single night. The effort on defense has been better to the point that I think he can be a part of the Jazz future championship contender if that happens, because he can defend. It's just, that's the thing that people all think about the Thunder and like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and his foul baiting and stuff like that and how they score points, which is definitely a part of it. Shai is incredible, but the reason this Thunder team wins titles and does what they do is their defense. And if you don't have your defense at a peak level, at top 5 level, you're not winning the championship. And I think we've seen enough from Keontae George that it might be there. We'll see. Utah still needs to fill this roster with better defenders. Svi Mikhailiuk ain't it. Larry Markkanen, if they keep him, they're going to have to fill the rest of these spots, like the Yusuf Nurkic spot. Maybe that's Walker Kessler if they make that happen. And then another elite defender in this spot that Svi Mikhailiuk's playing. So we'll see. But that's where Utah Jazz have to get to. And Keontae George, it's just nice to see him getting better. And who's to say he can't become better at defense too? If he can improve to this level, why can't he improve to even a little bit more? We are seeing steals from Keontae George tonight. How many did he get? 0 tonight. Although that's interesting. This Thunder team does not turn the ball over that much. One of the things they do is they play isolation a little bit more. And one of the benefits of playing isolation, on top of if you have an incredible ISO player like Shai, is you also don't turn the ball over as much because you are not moving the ball around the court. Hard to turn the ball over when you're not just throwing the ball around, right? So typically we've seen George have at least a steal or 2 a game. So we talked about Kevin Love a little bit. The 3-point shooting was great tonight. He's just been a really nice surprise for this Jazz team. Mostly as just a leader and a mentor. I love his relationship with Ace Bailey and how that's kind of become a fun thing. But he played well tonight, 4 for 6, and he was 4 for 5 from 3. He was just as hot as could be. So nice to see that from Kevin Love. Cody Williams, I don't know, guys. Cody Williams is definitely, he is a warning to this Jazz team of what happens if you don't do this right. Because Utah got left with Cody Williams because they didn't do it right from the start. And that's what happens. And I still have a lot of hope for Taylor Hendricks, but we've got to give him a lot of grace, and we can talk about that in a second. But Taylor Hendricks as well. Utah did not do things right those first 2 years after the Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell trades, and don't have a ton draft-wise to show for it outside of the Keontae George pick that came from Minnesota. Ironically, that pick that was at 16 has been kind of the best of those 3. Could have been better. You look at what Amen Thompson's doing on the Houston Rockets. You could have had Amen Thompson. You look at what Stephon Castle's doing on San Antonio. You could have had Stephon Castle. But we chose other things, and now you got to live with it. But you can learn from your mistakes, and you can learn from your stubbornness by doing the right thing now. Utah's got to make a move now, or start doing some strategic resting at some point, because Utah has got to keep that pick. And this draft is so good that you've got a lot of teams that are kind of looking at this board and thinking, I sure wouldn't mind Carlos Boozer or AJ DeBonsa or Darren Peterson as well. And the other guy that I'm in love with too is Caleb Wilson. Holy smokes, guys. I love that kid. He is number 4. He might be creeping up to number 3. Yep. Boom. Right there. But I'm not kidding. He is looking really, really interesting. 6'10", arguably the best defender in the class. Knocking down shots. He's leading the nation in dunks. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. Ferocious. I have to say, if Utah ends up with Caleb Wilson, I'm ecstatic. And I would not be surprised, after all is said and done, if Caleb Wilson is the best player in this draft. And I'm not kidding. Go watch his tape. He is so long, so big. He plays with so much fire. And he's one of those guys that plays with anger. He felt like he was disrespected to not be talked about in the same breath as like Peterson and Boozer and DeBonsa. And it's just driving him. And I would love a player like that on the Utah Jazz. Isn't that the type of guy you want? Someone just driven to prove everyone wrong? Those are the guys that tend to just like succeed in the NBA. Isaiah Collier got 13 minutes. He did not play particularly well against this good Thunder defense. Minus 23. I mean, this whole bench unit was pretty rough. They really struggled. You could argue that the best of this bench was Filipowski, 18 points. What is that? 18 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. He played pretty well, but Utah just couldn't defend. I mean, they just absolutely got the doors blown off, and that was that. Sensabaugh, I don't know, guys. I don't know what to think about Sensabaugh this year. He might be someone that has a little bit of trade value if someone wants him because of his shooting potential, and we know he can shoot the ball. It's just, he just does a few things every game that just make you scratch your head, at least against these good teams. 2 turnovers. Those just 1 for 4 and 3 for 8. I don't know. He's just, there's times where he plays really well. He helps the Jazz win a game against like the Chicago Bulls. And then a game like tonight, he just was not very good. We finally got to see Walter Clayton Jr. again tonight. He played okay. He had 2 or 3 just really rough passes. I mean, 3 turnovers in 12 minutes. It was pretty rough. I don't know if he's frustrated that he's not getting minutes, but you can kind of see it. Not a lot you can take from this because it's mostly garbage time, but he did manage to get 3 assists. And then finally, Taylor Hendricks, who came in garbage time as well. They kind of mentioned it, like they said it was a hamstring. I think he's recovering from his leg stuff. So this is the thing. I'm not going to decide either way with Taylor Hendricks all year this year. We'll have a better idea next year if he's starting to earn more minutes and so on. He's coming off a catastrophic leg injury that is going to take time. I'm sure he's still dealing with just the remnants of that injury. It's going to just take time. He also, because of that injury, missed an entire year of development that he'd be, have under his belt that he'd be playing with now. Instead, he's not only got to recover from injury, but he's got to kind of try to catch up development-wise, and it just hasn't really happened. And then on top of that, this Jazz team is just playing at a competitive level. You've got to break into that lineup when you're playing on a team that's trying to compete, like the Jazz seem to be doing. It's hard to break that rotation when you haven't been developing and you're recovering from an injury. So I don't know. We got to give him a little grace. Let's check in a little more by the end of the season what he's doing 4 months from now and next year. Next year is a big year for him. This was a big year for Keontae George, and he's really answering the call. Next year is really the make or break year for Taylor Hendricks. I don't think maybe not make or break, but for him to get a contract that's bigger than just like a low end contract, his length and size and defensive potential is why you would keep him, and the Jazz are not going to trade him or anything like that. But it just stinks. You would like to see him succeed, but he's got a lot kind of that overcome with the injury and the development and trying to break into a rotation that has guys like Svi Mikhailiuk getting preferential treatment. So it's tough to do. Guys, that's all tonight. Late night Hoops Nerds show. It was satisfying to see the Jazz kind of get another in the loss column because I really want to add a superstar to this team, and there are superstars in this draft. Mikal Brown Jr., look, they got him at 5. Nate Ament at 6. Koa Pete at 8. I would put him in this range, like at least 7. Utah's going to get a nice player out of this draft. They just got to make sure they do the right thing. All right, let's see here. Let's bring this over here. Let's go to music and get this started. All right. Okay, guys, let's give a shout out, or let's see. If the lottery, I'm tired. If the lottery was today, what would happen? Utah sits at 10. With this, they've got a 13% chance to get top 4. Let's see. No, Utah stays at 10, loses their pick to Oklahoma City. They got work to do. The Clippers win the #1 pick, and it goes to Oklahoma City. Are you serious? That's crazy. Utah needs to do a trade with the Clippers just to make them better. Just to get them out of this lottery zone. I think they probably will, but man, oh man, oh man. All right, guys, let's give a shout out to our All-Stars. Thank you, everyone who supports the show. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, I had this down. Oh, my heck. It's not loading. Something's going on with YouTube. Let's see. Okay, there we go. All right, let's give a shout out to Steve Areno, Steve Stevens. Let him cook sturdy pots. Ezekiel Ricibe, the man from down under. Tyson Price, the price is right. See ya, Lexa Later. Jordan the Goat, Bessroll. Ryan Edward Perry, the legend. Christian House Money to Haas. Robert Hall of Fame. I Believe in Steve, Jazz Exile. Austin R. Grant, editor extraordinaire. Key for 3, the OG. And Patrick Kubo, the connoisseur. Guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I will talk to you next time.